Hi, everyone, and welcome to Cinejoy, featuring the artists and movies of Cinequest. The Cinequest Film and Creativity Festival, located in the heart of Silicon Valley, was reimagined online this year as Cinejoy, bringing together people from all across the globe. And I hope you all have enjoyed this phenomenal festival these past 11 days, which included 200 films and 111 world and U.S. premieres from 55 countries. So it's no surprise that Cinequest is ranked in the top 10 film festivals in the world and recently number one by USA Today readers. Tonight, Cinequest is excited to bring to you a very special event, the inaugural Laura Ziskin Visionary Award, along with what is sure to be a robust, fun, and fascinating conversation with the recipients of the award, the multi-award winning director Lee Daniels and recent Academy Award nominated actress Andra for their work on the hit Hulu original film, The United States versus Billie Holiday. I became friends with Laura Ziskin many years ago when we co-founded Stand Up to fund groundbreaking research to get new treatments to patients faster. She was such an inspiration to so many, living bravely with her own cancer diagnosis while pushing to change the culture of cancer research to embrace collaboration, thereby accelerating cures. Laura also was a phenomenal film and television producer, and so thank you, Cinequest, for honoring her and carrying on her legacy through this award. So I want to start by introducing my friend Lee Daniels. His work includes, he's done so much, you all. Monsters Ball, which resulted in Halle Berry becoming the first Black woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress, which I still find almost impossible to believe that she was the first. Precious, which earned comedian and actress Monique the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. That same film, by the way, also launched Gabby Sidibe's acting career with an Academy Award nomination for a first-time actress. Lee then went on to create and produce the groundbreaking hip-hop drama Empire, which conquered the world and exploded all rating ceilings at Fox. Wow. He continues to make compelling television and award-winning films like The Incredible US versus Billie Holiday. Hi, Lee.
Katie, hi, how are you?
I'm glad. You're somebody that anybody in the film industry needs to get close to because obviously, honey, you got the secret sauce. So I'm really excited to continue this conversation. But first, I wanted to introduce my also a new friend, Andra Day, the Grammy nominated and absolutely mesmerizing lead actress of The United States versus Billie Holiday in her very first acting role. Andra, hi, and
Yes.
congratulations. This must be a whirlwind for you. First of all, acting in this amazing film and the reception that it's gotten. Are you still pinch off?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely pinching myself to make sure that it's all real. I mean, just starting with the movie, right? And being able to work with Lee on this movie and sort of being in this what feels like a very, very new world, to me, with acting. So I still feel like I'm way back there trying to process that we like made a film and that people have seen it and that they love it. And so it's just and who the people and the director, the cast, the production I got to work with is amazing.
Well, congratulations to both of you on this phenomenal film. I took my breath away, and it was just such a privilege to witness this incredible work. And I think a lot of people were ignorant about Billie Holiday's story, that this brilliant jazz singer was actually the godmother of the civil rights movement through her song Strange Fruit. And before we jump into the award presentation, can you both talk a little bit about what drew you to this project and drew you to each other? And Lee, let me start with you. Tell us the genesis of this latest work by you.
I knew that last question again. The latest.
What, sure. What was the genesis of this project? How did you become interested in this story?
I was obsessed with Billie Holiday just because it's Billie Holiday. Um, she lived in the back of my mind, and I'm not sure how she lived, but she was there. There was something about her struggle. There was something about her realness, something about her essence that just was with me. And anyway, I saw Lady Sings the Blues as a kid, blown away by it. Diana Ross and Richard Pryor and Billy D. Williams. It changed my perception of Hollywood. I really wanted to be a part of filmmaking because of that film. And but 40 years later, that I found out that that was not the case. That was not the true story of Billie Holiday. And Susan Laurie Parks wrote this incredible script, United States versus Billie Holiday, based on Johann Hari's book, Chasing the Scream. And it really talks about the government coming after her because she was singing a song about lynching, Strange Fruit, the lynchings of black men and women. And it dawned on me that I hadn't really understood the song Strange Fruit, even though I'd heard it. And so I really heard it for the first time. And I said, I gotta do this movie. I gotta save her. I have to save her, what's the word? Her legacy. I just felt like it hadn't been done right. I didn't know about this. I pride myself in Black history, but I didn't know about her story. So, yeah, that's sort of the reason why.
And Andra, you have to have it's really almost impossible for me to believe this was your first acting job because you were just so extraordinary. You have to, I think part of being willing to collaborate is to trust someone. And what was it about Lee and this story, that you were able to trust him to make sure that not only that he told the accurate story of Billie Holiday and exposed Americans to a story they didn't even really know, but also trust him that he would not let you down, that he would take your God-given talent and really exploit it in the best possible way.
Well, I don't think we knew that there was a God-given talent there yet at that point. So it was a huge, huge leap of faith. I think, as you said before, there's something, Lee, I'm not just saying this, he has a special sauce. This is not the first time, obviously, that he's been able to kind of transform a person into another person in such a compelling way. I think, for me, it was, I had to trust him. But I think I consider myself a very spiritual person, as we kind of spoke about off camera. So a lot of it was prayer. And so first I had to just pray about it. And even upon meeting him. But, with meeting him, it was like, okay, well, it's Lee Daniels. I'm actually a fan of his work. So, it was, I didn't want to do the movie at first. When my manager first brought it up to me, I was like, this is not a good idea. I'm not an actor. But, eventually I says, okay, I'll meet with Lee because he's just really talented. I am a fan of his work. To me, he's a legend in this business. And so I was like, great, when I want to make other stuff, he'll be just a good person to know. But I think even going in, it wasn't like, okay, I'll do this because I'm really committed to doing Billie Holiday. I was like, I just want to meet him. And it was a great meeting because I got to see his authenticity. I got to see his care for Black stories, particularly Black women's stories, and or the unspoken for even in our community, and I could see that there was like this chip on his shoulder as well, that like mad almost that the government was able to successfully keep this true story of Billie Holiday away from him and the rest of the public, and so what he was just talking about, wanting to save her legacy, I could see that in that meeting. And so it was, and so I wanted to move into the audition process with him from there. And then it was a prayer, it was a scripture that I read about walking on water, rather the gist of it being caused to do an act of great faith, that made me dive all the way in. And one of the first things was I had to trust Lee, and I trusted his talent, but I was like, okay, is his talent big enough to change someone like me who doesn't really have any skill in this? And, I know that it is, but I'm I felt like I was like a tough case to crack because I was like terrified and not good at this. But I did.
She
It
didn't
was
want to listen. She didn't want to do it. She did. She really. I could see the caution, Katie. When we sat down, I was reluctant to meet her too, but
yeah.
I could see her. She seduced me because I could tell that she realized that maybe I'm in over my head by talking to this guy. Like, I don't know whether or not, I mean, I see how serious this dude is. I, am I, why am I here? You know? And I
Yeah.
found myself talking her, who's someone that I wasn't really interested in meeting in the
Yeah.
first place because she had never acted before. I found myself talking her into the auditioning process. So much so that I picked up the phone and I called my manager who was forcing me in to meet with her. I said, I can't believe you talked me into, she seduced me into, I seduced her into auditioning for this. Like what, something's
Mhm.
wrong with this picture. And in
I'm
hindsight,
curious.
I think in hindsight that I think that she just valued. She's an artist. She's not just an actor. So, I mean, I think you have to understand there's a difference between a movie star and an actor and an artist. And an artist is someone that really respects not only the craft, but the spirit of whatever it is that we're jumping into in its purest form. And so I said, okay, so let me roll because I knew that she was an artist, and I figured, okay, let's give it a shot. And then, boy, was I, Katie, she sent me the acting coach, Tasha Smith. I sent her to an acting coach. I sent her to a vocal coach, and she sent me, the acting coach sent me this tape of her, unbeknownst to Andra, of her getting ready, prepping, and I witnessed a miracle. I saw she didn't say the words yet. She was just getting into character. She was talking, and she was she was crawling, leaving Andra, crawling into Billy in a weird way I'd never seen before, ever seen before. And then Andra sent me this voice thing of her voice, and it sent chills down my spine. And I was like, I knew that I was in the presence of God, and I knew
Mm.
that we were going to be on a great journey together. And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That's what
I'm so
exactly
glad
exactly that.
you just answered my question because I wanted to know, was there like a holy shit moment when you suddenly realized, oh my God, look at look at this person who I get to collaborate with. And we're going to talk more and we're going to show everyone some clips from a few scenes. But I want to take a moment to talk a little bit about Laura Ziskin because we're here to honor your collaboration with the very first Laura Ziskin Visionary Award. Now, as you know, Lee, Laura was an amazing force of nature. Her passion for film was only surpassed by her passion to end cancer. She was such a visionary who believed the collaboration was essential, both in filmmaking as well as in finding a cure for cancer. So, here to introduce a short film on Laura is her former producing partner, as well as the producer of the United States versus Billie Holiday, Pam Williams. Pam?
Hi, thanks, Katie. Before I introduce the short film, I just want to say a few words about Lee and Laura. Laura and I developed the script, which became The Butler. And there was no one Laura wanted to direct this movie but Lee Daniels, even before meeting him. But then a phone call came, and it was Steven Spielberg interested in directing the film, even before we had a script. But that didn't matter to Laura. There was only one director for this movie, and it was Lee Daniels. When Lee and Laura eventually did meet, they fell madly in love. And then, unfortunately, she passed away before we were able to get the production, or the movie into the production. And Lee was left with me. Pretty big shoes to fill to try to carry on for Laura Ziskin. But to be honest, Laura never left us. Every day I would ask, what would Laura do about this situation? And I would know what to do and I would do it. So in many ways, the butler saved me from my profound grief of losing her because she stayed with us. I heard her every day in my head. And that is what Stand Up to Cancer also does. They think, what would Laura do? And that's what they carry on. So we're about to see a short film about her vision and her legacy. And I want to give a special shout out to Rusty Robertson, who's a co-founder of Stand Up to Cancer, along with Katie and Laura. And I just want to thank her for her dedication to bring in funding for the Laura Ziskin Prize, which is a research grant that carries on research in her name. So here is the short film.
I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor. I'm a 60-year-old woman with metastatic breast cancer. So I'm a patient, but I don't want my cancer to define me, so I'm many other things. I'm a mother and I'm a wife and I'm a motion picture producer.
There wasn't a task that seemed impossible to her.
I don't think Laura approached anything in her life, be it producing movies or battling cancer or motherhood or friendship in a traditional way.
Making a movie is like curing cancer. You have to bring people together and they have to work together.
Laura had the ability to dream big. She would scale things in her mind quickly. And I think that that's one of the jobs of a producer, is to have a hope for a future. She set out to beat cancer, and not her cancer, but cancer.
I'm hopping mad. 1,500 Americans die every single day from cancer. As a patient, I say, what are you going to do for me? The issues of cancer are extraordinarily complex, medically, socially, and politically. But so what? Like the trip to the moon or the Manhattan Project, it starts with the will and the vision and the leadership to do it.
Like every great hero, she had a vision and she set us into motion. And now it's up to us to continue moving forward to achieve her dream.
That's the only way we're going to change the world. We have to think outside. We have to look outside.
There's a quote of Laura's that goes, in my world, the hero always defeats the villain. The boy always gets the girl.
And cancer is no more.
We all at Stand Up to Cancer miss Laura every day, but continue, as Pam said, to be so inspired by her vision and leadership and motivated to carry on her legacy. Now I'd like to introduce Kathleen Powell. Kathleen is the co-founder and president of Cinequest, and she'll say a few words about the Laura Ziskin Visionary Award presented by Cinequest. Kathleen?
Thank you so much, Katie. You know, two very, very special people and dear friends, Carrie Wolf and her father, Lou Wolf, introduced all of us at Cinequest several years ago to the incredible work Stand Up to Cancer is doing. Imagine a group of amazing women, all at the top of their professional careers, coming together with the passion and the drive to eliminate cancer from the planet. Such a tall order. Laura Ziskin believed if scientists stopped working in silos and started to share and collaborate, that lives could be saved. Stand Up to Cancer has raised hundreds of millions of dollars that has gone directly to fund research where scientists from different backgrounds come together to find cures. And they are winning. They are saving lives, but there's so much more to do. Cinequest is thrilled to partner with Stand Up to Cancer to keep Laura's passion for collaboration alive. Lee Daniels and Andra Day, it is my honor to present on behalf of Cinequest the first Laura Ziskin Visionary Award, not only for your incredible accomplishments as artists, but for the magic that happened when the two of you collaborated to create this very special film, The United States versus Billie Holiday. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's an honor, truly an honor.
It's so,
Yes. Mhm.
isn't it beautiful, Andra?
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah,
You didn't,
especially.
Andra, you didn't know Laura, but she would love you. Um, she would love you. She was so ahead of her time uh, with this woke crazy that we're living right now. Like, I
Mhm.
literally beat Steven Spielberg out for a job. Like, he wanted my job, the butler, and this woman like was like, nope, this is the man to direct it. And it was so sad to see her go. She was the only thing that was more important than finding money for our movie, The Butler, was finding money for Stand Up to Cancer. She was dialing for dollars simultaneously as she was dialing for dollars for The Butler. And wow, what a beautiful soul. They don't make them like that. I'm sorry that you didn't know her, Andrew, because you would
Yeah.
have loved her.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was just curious about, your experience with her and Pam's experience with her, because I have to say, I'm sad that I didn't have an opportunity to know her. And this is a great honor just because of seeing the type of woman she is. But as I was watching that documentary, I was like, wow, and this is why we love you, Lee, because you really truly do love women and honor our stories. But I was just thinking like the power of a woman, when she's driven. And what I love is, what was said in that documentary was not just her own cancer, but just cancer, so it wasn't, I think that was the catalyst, but just her drive and what she was able to accomplish. A driven, focused woman like that is, I mean, it's a powerful breed. And I just, yeah, I wish I would have had a chance to know her, but I do
You
feel like after seeing that little clip, I got
uh,
glimpses of her
that you
in
do know.
Pam and you.
Listen,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the very last time, this is, I think Zoom wasn't created, but it were like, whatever you could see people on the computer. She was raising money. We were raising money, and she couldn't understand why it was her first time at the rodeo with a black film. And she could not understand why it was that every studio had passed on The Butler. Here's this woman, this white woman who had done Spider-Man, all these big studio movies. And here she is not understanding that studios didn't care about giving money to black cinema, to black stories, the story that was important about The Butler. And so I said, "Don't." She's Lee. I don't know what to do. I said, "Don't worry, baby. I got your back. I done raised money independently for all my movies. Let's hit the road." And so she said, "Okay, buddy, let's do it." And so I got her into the habit of dialing for dollars. She was just like randomly calling. The last randomly calling people. The very last. It's not Zoom. What, I don't know what they're called. What are they called? Skype. Skype had just been going on. And so she said, the last conversation I had that I saw her in person, she said she was in Santa Monica and she found somebody, she had found a black woman who had hit the lottery that was a Lee Daniels fan. And I look at, literally my last conversation with her was on Zoom, and she said, "Lee, take it from here." And I'm sitting here talking to this lady who had hit the lottery, okay? We was trying to get some money from her for The Butler. That's how brilliant this woman was. And it was just like
Wow.
dialing for dollars to the end. She was a tour de force.
Lee, did that lady give you some money?
No, we didn't get it because Laura didn't live long enough. If Laura had lived long enough, she would have got the money from her.
Well, I think it's so exciting that I think Laura would be, I think, blown away by Andra. I can say that, having known Laura, and the fact that you two had collaborated to do this extraordinary film, I think would please her to no end. And we're going to continue our conversation and hear a little bit more of that collaboration by just showing a few clips and having you all tell us a little bit about them. The first is a fun one. Billie and her band perform at a Juke joint in Baltimore as they head south on tour with federal agent Jimmy Fletcher, assigned to follow Billie Holiday. So let's take a look and then we'll talk about it.
And at the break of day, you can hear all I had to say. Give me a big foot
become fantastic. We sold out. We stopped.
Such a great scene, and it really makes you long for that pre-COVID period. I'm like, hey, they're too close. They're not wearing masks. But Lee, tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about how you prepped for this scene and how it evolved. And then, Andrew, I want to ask you if you were surprised that you would be crowd surfing. But Lee, why don't you start?
I don't remember how, you know, each music number we had to do something different. I didn't want her to be Billie to be this torch song singer in the bar, you know, doing the same thing over and over. How do we keep it alive? How do we keep the musical numbers different from each other? And so this one, I don't know, I forget whatever it wasn't happening. And so I said, let's crowd surf. And Andra was like, well, Billie didn't crowd surf. And I said, I don't care. Let's just like, and I said, and I remember like Miriam or one of her assistants, somebody saying, well, what if, or AD saying, well, what if the people drop her? I said, listen, this is going to be so good. So the day that we did it, Andra was praying as usual. She was like before the number, she was praying, and I said, no. If you're going to share that prayer, share it with everybody that was there, all of the extras. And I don't really like to call people extras because that sort of demeans what it is that they do. They're important to the scene. And so she then turned around and she prayed, I guess, with 500 people that were there. Yeah. And it was a moment that was, I don't know, I get chills talking about it because, you know, most times extras don't feel important, but they knew that they were important in that moment. And we had just prayed together. And so with that, I sent her out and I then prayed again to make sure they didn't drop my star. and she didn't care. And it was just beautiful. It was great. Thank you for picking that scene. It was great.
Yeah.
And Andra,
that I think still stands. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it sounds like it was a beautiful moment, you know, this collective, almost spiritual moment for everybody who was taking part in it. And I think that's so moving to hear, but you're right, Lee, you know, people don't feel special or validated when they're so critically important to a film. And what was that moment like for you, Andra, when you all got together and prayed before that scene? And what was it like for you actually doing that scene?
First of all, that still stands as, I think, my favorite scene that we shot. I've said this to Lee before. It was so much fun. It was just, you know, so loose and beautiful. But I think all praying together, really the thing that I felt, and I don't know if you felt this, Lee, but when we started praying, it was the response of, as he said, I don't like to call them extra, we'll say castmates, you know what I mean? It was a response of the castmates, like, wow, it felt like it was a breakthrough. This is words we use, breakthrough, overflow, right? It felt like it was something that everybody felt like they needed or they wanted. And it was the energy. I mean, everything sort of shifted. The spirit in the room shifted after that. And everybody was just on 10, you know, and I got to, as Lee said, they're not extras because I got to give them so much credit. And Lee, you remember that room was hot as fish grease and something else. You know what I mean?
It was hot as fish grease up in there, girl. You could fry some fish. You could fry fish up in there. It was so hot.
Yeah. I was like,
and here's the thing. They didn't drop you. We did it. We used the first take. And I said, you know, listen, if somebody was to come for me and they say that Billie Holiday didn't slide, surf, or whatever you call it, I didn't care. It was, to me, it was in the moment. It was so organic. and it was raw, and it was important to show Billie having fun, to show Billie as a part of the people, which she was.
I loved it. Once
Yeah,
it was like confirmed we're doing that, once it was confirmed we're doing it, I was like, cool, let's do it. We're in. Lay back on the crowd, and it was so fun. But the other thing is, to Lee's point, and people, well, she didn't crowd surf. First of all, we don't know, because there's an amazing book called With Billie. And one of the stories that stands out to me most is the story with her and Stump Daddy. When she meets him and they just hop, she just kind of jumps randomly into the same cab that he's in. And he's like, wow, there's Billie Holiday sitting in a cab next to me. And he describes her as one point as hanging out the window, hollering at people on the streets. So she had that streak about her too that was very kind of, unexpected, you know what I mean? And sort of a little wild, you know what I mean? So I thought it was brilliant. It was like, okay, she didn't crowd surf as we know, but he's like, cool, let's do it. To me, even his choice to just do that was very, very Billie Holiday in that way. Because she might be
happy too. I've never seen you.
It made me
because the character, you were really, because most of the scenes were down. And we were trying to find life and humor and fun in every aspect of Billie's life, and not to cry. And I could see that you were really happy. Like your eyes, like you like they jumped up because you were doing something so out there that was so unheard of.
I
Yeah.
nobody thinks that Billie Holiday didn't crowd surf after watching that film. I think that would be a surprise to everyone. Let me move on to a next scene, which is very, very different in tone. I mean, the polar opposite. It's really haunting. It has stayed with me for days, and it's an impressionistic kind of scene that looks like it's all shot in one take, Lee. And it's after Billie stumbles upon a lynching of a Black mother with her two small children at her feet. And she runs into a nearby shack, and this is where our clip picks up. Let's take a look.
God is ready. Come on, come on. Come on.
That obviously is just one part of just this wrenching sequence that I hope if people haven't seen the film, they will, because it was just like a sucker punch, and that doesn't do it justice. And Lee, can you talk about conceiving the scene and having it actually give people some deeper understanding of Billie Holiday's character and her demons.
It's hard. I haven't seen the scene. I haven't seen it for how long? I don't know. Because I don't really. It's been. It's hard for me to even articulate how I feel about the scene and the work. I just love that we did it. It was. It was. It's the embodiment of what the whole film is about. Why does one do drugs? She was born, and raised in a brothel. She was raped at an early age. She was sent to, away to a place for bad girls, like it was her fault. She came back and she became a prostitute at an early age, and she used drugs to anesthetize herself, to heal herself from her experience. And so I was trying to capture all of that, and on top of that, she was a black woman that dealt with lynchings at the time. And so how do you feel the movie? I mean, the movie was jazz. The movie was drugs. The movie was about the atrocities that go on in America and are going on in America right now. The movie's about, her defiance and her being able to sing Strange Fruit. So so it was the centerpiece of the film, and we did it in one shot, and it was the hardest thing I've ever shot before in my life. I love my actors who just were present, and my cameraman and everybody. So yeah, it was like, Andrew, you'd start talking.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. Like, what do you say about shooting a scene like that? What do you say about living experiences like that? What do you say about how not removed we are from that period? Or what do you say about what a lynching truly is anyway? Right? We're watching a mother being taken from her children by way of hanging, but a lynching is a mob killing of Black people, and oftentimes, I think people often think it's this fringe group. It's just this fringe group of these rogue Klan members, but those people were judges, and they were the city council, and they were the jailers, and they held office in these places. And what I love about that scene was the the young girls. I feel like the intensity of them crying. It might seem like acting, but for us on set, we could actually really, really see pain in their eyes and in their cries. And I think there was a need from everyone on set to sort of save them. The other thing that I love that he showed was the house burning, because I think sometimes the other misconception is that a lynching is just a single body hanging from a tree, but it was something that the community engaged in. It's this idea of what America celebrates as a modern picnic, which is why I don't. This idea of I'm just going to say a picnic, and you lynch them, you burn their house, you burn their property, and then you lay your blankets out and you celebrate this conquest, right? So I love that he showed that. I think, as he said, with Lee was leading it. He was like to us, and all my co-stars were like brothers and sisters in arms, you know, and we were all there, and we were all very present, and we were all feeling the social weight along with our own personal trauma. You know, I don't know. I don't really have words for it. I can say, though, one of the things I remember specifically from that is in order to fully realize emotionally what I needed in that scene, I had to pull not just from social trauma of being a Black woman living in America, but from familial pain as well, too, which led me to realize that we are way too desensitized to seeing this level of atrocity reach our community. You know, we're way, way too familiar with this magnitude of loss. And I think seeing that scene is so jarring that it pulls you right back. Like, this is a horrific sight, and it should hurt this badly every time we encounter it, whether you're hanging from a tree or whether it's a police officer's knee on a person's neck for almost 9 minutes. So I think the scene was brilliant. I love that he chose to show it because I think we need to understand the depth of that. But yeah, you know, I mean, what do you say?
It's
you know?
emotional. It really takes me down. I think that it's not just about the thought that because, you know, it's cinematic, you know. I wanted her to look fantastic. It's about that dress that she's in, you know, that dress that she's in as she's going in and she blends into the wheat and everything. And it was done in a wonder that we were able to do it in a wonder. I don't even believe that we were able to do it in a money in a wonder, and that it leads up to her singing that powerful song. And you know, it goes even beyond, to me, beyond acting and the crew. It's almost like I understand now what it's like to be on a football team, where that if one person dropped the ball, if the cross wasn't lit, if the girls didn't cry, if Billy was out of place, if Trevante was out of place, if one thing fell, we'd have to start all over again. We used the first take. We only shot 3 takes of it, and you know, we used the first take, and I just it is. I'm left sort of speechless about the experience. I hope that I can experience something like that again in my life. I think that it's rare, and as an artist, and I know that that experience doesn't come along often. And you know, it was almost like that moment that, you know, I don't know whether that moment where in Precious, where the mother and the daughter and the social worker are crying at that last scene. It was that for me. It was that. It was the Black experience. It was that. It's a Black experience. It's very specific to what it is that we have lived. And we didn't, you know, we did this before, you know, the atrocity that took place in the summer that really made us all look at the murders that have been happening.
Yeah.
So I get emotional for many reasons, not just because, like, you know, it's just like it that we were able to do it, you know, that we were really able to do it, that I was able to do it through Billy's story, that I really now I understand, even watching it now, I understand why Billy sang that song with urgency and defied the government. As I watched it now, it has a different feeling, different effect on me. It's crazy. Katie, it's crazy.
It was so enormously powerful and brave and timely. And I also think it conveys how art can be so illuminating. And it was just unbelievably powerful. It's something you have to experience almost more than talk about. Which is obviously something as a viewer I got to do, and as artists you all got to deliver. I think this film takes you on an emotional roller coaster ride because it also has moments of humor and kind of all different kind of emotions. And this next clip is just kind of along those lines after this very, very intense depressing clip. This is just kind of a lighter clip that shows another side of Billie Holiday. So let's take a look.
I know. Come on. Let's go. I know.
Right.
I'm sorry for your loss. I lost my father when I was young.
My Lord.
Chiquita sat on my lap every day.
It was her dog. Her dog died. It was the little one, not the big one. Mister's all right. Yeah? Mister's fine, right? Billy, I told you, you can't let Chiquita eat off your plate. That's why she chose. Rise.
That must have been a little needed levity.
Listen, we're not here to laugh at people that have animals that die. I love my animal. I have a dog, so I just realized that it was to me what was funny to me is outside of being a little funny is just the process. Is the process and making sure that like I'm on the floor of the church rolling around like I couldn't breathe. I mean, I'm literally, and they had to stay in the moment. So that in itself was very funny, making sure that they were in the moment, and sort of hiding my emotions as best I could at this wonderful acting that was just amazing. I mean, I get emotional again because they really, it's funny, but it was a hard scene to act. It was a really hard scene to act. I get emotional because of the commitment that they had. Those actors had, they just gave their, Katie, is rare that you can have a group of talent just render their souls to you. Just like, I mean, the idea of crying at a dog's funeral is in itself, I mean, something to think about, So that they were that committed to making sure that they were in that state.
Andra,
First of
I'll
all,
let
Lee,
you have. I was going to say, I'll let you have the last word.
First of all, Lee, you were horrible at hiding your laughter that day. It was hilarious. You hear Lee's maniacal laugh behind. It was hilarious. There would be moments that you just hear from way wherever the director's tent was. All you hear is ha ha.
Did you really hear me?
Listen, we could hear you. Of course, we could hear you, which was great because we always knew when we were doing well. You know what I mean? When we could hear Lee's laugh, we're like in the pocket. Okay.
Oh man.
But no, that scene, listen, Katie, that was a moment of levity for you in that movie. That day for us it was actually one of the most challenging days to film. And I can laugh looking back at it now, for me, it is sad, right? I lost a pet, my 16 years, recently. It is sad. As he said, it's the production of it. You know what I mean? It is the Catholic Church. It's the I need a priest. And the other thing was Billie used to bury her dogs in her fur coats, so those were her kids, so it's like this combination of extra. The reason I think it's so perfect is because it's this combination of extra crazy, but it's also a little bit like, it kind of makes sense though, because she didn't have kids. She wanted kids. She treated her pet like kids. But for me, what I learned from Lee on set with comedy, about comedy, is that what makes it funny is that you have to be serious. That way the audience can take it as a joke. But I had to, for all of us, all the actors, we had to really be dredging up some painful shit and some painful memories to sit in that day. So it was actually like, it was one of them chain smoking days. Like it was a really rough day, but it was great because I think that's what made it funny was that we, you had to believe it. I feel like Lee was very specific. If we take it as a joke, it won't be as funny for the audience. We'll be taking some of their laughter. You know what I mean? And so we have to really believe it. So as he said, it was a challenging scene to shoot. And also it's like everyone on set is dying laughing. So we're in this hella heavy place and it feels like everyone around you is like laughing at your personal pain. And you're just like, shut the hell up. But I'm glad.
Here's the other thing too. I mean, I also wanted to get the opulence of the Catholic Church and really show that she was Billie herself was spiritual. But I wanted to I mean, if I really gotten my way, I would have, Pam would have never allowed it, but our producer, but I would have had them come up to the coffin and actually see a stuffed dog in a fur coat is what I really, really wanted. But Pam shut that down, and that would that was going to be a last minute surprise, Andra. But there you go.
Thank you.
And I would have caught that. I would have gotten an honest reaction.
Mom, I can't believe you would have shut that down.
I get blamed for all the unfun times.
No.
Maybe Peter would not have found it amusing, but
no, you're right.
Listen,
maybe we can't even use that. Oh my goodness, I don't think we can use that.
Laura would have loved that moment, by the way, Lee.
Yeah.
She would have loved. She would have pushed the coffin out.
And I think it's also, it would have brought home what Andra just said, that Billie didn't have any children, that these were like her family. And I didn't know that she buried her pets in her fur coats. And I would have learned something, but I'm glad I learned it today. Anyway, well, I think we're out of time. I could talk to you all day about this extraordinary partnership and how obviously that you've made friendships for life. And I think we wanted to highlight this collaboration, and I can't think of two better people and Pam to help us understand the intimate ways that people work together to create a beautiful product and such an impactful film. So Andra and Lee and Pam, thank you all so much for talking to us, and congratulations on receiving the Laura Ziskin Visionary Award presented by Cinequest. Thank you, Cinequest. And if you all haven't seen the film, hopefully you will have the opportunity to watch and experience the brilliant work of these two extraordinary artists as they bring to the screen the complicated and inspiring life and unknown history, really, of one of the greatest jazz artists of our time, or in history, really. So thank you, Cinequest, for allowing me to be a part of this wonderful conversation, for honoring Laura Ziskin, and of course, Lee Daniels and Andra Day. And a big thank you to all of you who have donated specifically to the Laura Ziskin Prize at Stand Up to Cancer, which funds high-risk, high-reward projects in her name. So if you'd like to learn more, please go to standuptocancer.org and donate. And no donation is too small to such critically important life-saving research. We need to double down on that now more than ever. So thank you all so much for joining us. Stay safe, be well, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.